Think about the best presenters that you've ever seen. Were they constantly checking their notes or reading off a PowerPoint slide? Probably not. Now, there's nothing wrong with having notes, but it is really compelling and indeed freeing to be able to present your ideas in a clear sequence without using notes at all. Today we're going to explore a mnemonic or memory technique that is particularly suited to storing away numerous points in a particular order. Many of us would say that we don't have a fantastic memory, but the problem is usually the initial storage of the memory rather than recall of the memory. For thousands of years, people have used various techniques to try to store away memories in a way that makes them easier to retrieve. One approach that's particularly effective is the memory palace, also known as the method of loci or location. Now, I've used this ancient approach to memorize presentations up to 30 minutes long comfortably without needing to use notes. I really don't consider myself to have an extraordinary memory. In fact, this technique really makes it just quite easy. The first thing you need to do when using the memory palace technique is to think of a location with various waypoints that you know well. For example, I use the house I currently live in, storing points away in rooms and locations in a set path through the house. It could be a path that you regularly walk that has clear landmarks and objects along the way. Ideally, you'll use this same path for every presentation that you want to remember. The pathway and landmarks should be effortless to recall. Using my house, I have a number of places where I can store a memory or point in my presentation. I start at the front door, then there's the entrance hall, around the corner to a bathroom, a son's bedroom, onto the kitchen, then the living room, another son's bedroom, then a dining room and a lounge room, upstairs to another son's room, I know, lots of sons, another bathroom, and then a final bedroom. That's 11 waypoints, which is plenty. I typically find I don't even need to use the upstairs rooms. We then chunk up our presentation into main points. Each of these main points should be easy to talk through. You can even contain multiple points within each of these waypoints if you want to get really advanced. The key then is to create a vivid and hopefully unusual visual representation that you can store in each location. The more bizarre, colourful and ridiculous, the better. So let's say I'm going to give a general presentation about leadership. My first chunk is a discussion about the definition of leadership that I typically use and some discussion that will come out of that. I have about 5 minutes worth of content that I use around this point. So the first point I want to remember is, what is leadership? The visual reminder could be the word leadership shaped like a huge bright red inflated question mark. Perhaps it could also have some smaller question marks around it, following it around in a circle as it walks. The second point is around the impact leadership can have. So in the second room, the bathroom, I might have a hammer smashing the mirror on the wall, a memorable image for me of impact. If I have several sub-points under that main point, I could memorize a sequence of events unfolding in the room. For example, if I want to talk about the impact of leadership on people, organizations, and society, I could have the hammer smash a figurine representing people, then a building representing organizations, then a globe representing society. We repeat the storage process throughout the remainder of the rooms. To store all of this information away, I just walk through the house in my mind, recalling each of the visual cues and ensuring that I can bring to mind the points I need to make. I often actually physically walk through the house the first few times, closing my eyes in each room to store away the visual associations. I find that makes the memories even stronger. A few final tips. Think about key objects in each room. For example, my eldest son has a record player in his room, so I use that to interact with other visual cues. We have a fireplace in our lounge room, so I often have points in that room interacting with fire. I recommend the first time that you use this technique that you keep a simple paper copy of the main points. If nothing else, getting all of your presentation down to a post-it note of points is far ahead of reading from slides or pages of notes. Also, you can use this approach for far more than just presentations. Anything that you need to memorize in a particular order will work. So you can memorize your calendar for the day, a list of errands or people that you need to speak with. I hope you find this approach as helpful as I have. Give it a try and let me know how you go.